Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the Harpo Marx of board game review shows. Say, ladies and gentlemen, is this something to shout about? The DC Comics Crisis Expansion 3 for the DC Comics deck building game. The DC Comics deck building game Crisis Expansion Pack 3 is another Crisis pack for your DC Comics deck building game that offers its own unique challenges and a cooperative way to play the DC Comics deck building game. Now, as you may know, the DC Comics deck building game is a game I have really enjoyed. My friends and I love it. I haven't played it with a friend that didn't at least say it was a really fun game. We've all really enjoyed it. It does suffer, however, as you know, from that one major flaw, and that is it's not terribly thematic. You've got the various heroes fighting each other in an attempt to get the most victory points. They weren't working together as the Justice League does. So, the original Crisis expansion pack, which came out a while ago, offered this cooperative version to make the game more cooperative. And then, of course, this new edition is the third version in that great line. Now, this new Crisis Expansion Pack 3 features, in addition to some new crises and some new main deck cards and some new villains, it also features a lot of new oversized heroes or villains, because you are playing villains. Specifically, you're playing the Suicide Squad and some other supervillains from the DC Comics universe that have their own kind of abilities throughout this Crisis edition. So, how these Crises packs work is essentially, instead of working against each other, you're working together by trying to go after the villains. Now, in the cooperative version, you set it up pretty much as you do the original game of DC Comics deck building game, but you also add a number of villains based on the number of players, and then you also add in a number of crisis cards. So each villain, when they come out, in addition to the nasty things they do already, they're also going to provide you with a crises. And these crises are all sorts of fun and different things that really alter the game. But here's the thing. Instead of just bringing cards out, at the end you buy 3 or 4 cards, you lay down 3 or 4 cards, you only ever put down 1 card. That's because the main deck acts as a timer. In fact, that's how everybody loses. If the main deck runs out of cards, then the players lose the game. How they win is to get through all the supervillains, but to do that, you have to follow a very strict kind of order to how you play the game. Meaning, first of all, if you want to even attempt to take out the Crisis or the supervillain, you have to first remove all the villains from the lineup. You play to get all the villains out of there, but you don't get the villains in your card. Rather, you put the villains in kind of a destroyed villains pile, and then 1 card will come out. If it's another villain, you got to take that guy out first. As soon as that lineup is free of supervillains, and again, you may have lineups that are like 1 or 2 cards. You may have lineups that have 10 cards. You can get a lot of cards out there or a few cards, but all of the villains in the main deck in the lineup have to be defeated before you can even attempt to go after the Crises. Well, that's not true. You can attempt to go after Crises, but it can't resolve it until all the villains are gone. Now, the Crises cards work. I recently reviewed the Watchmen crossover pack in kind of a similar way. You are contributing cards. The Crises say it takes 3 villain cards to beat, or pardon me, 3 hero cards to beat, or 3 superpower cards to beat, or 4 defense cards to beat. Different kinds of cards you have to play. You don't play them. I mean, you don't get the advantages of the power. You simply contribute them. They're out of the game. They'll be destroyed, but they help you get rid of the Crises. So you're all contributing to that. Once you get all the villains done out of the main lineup deck, once you get all of or once you finish that particular Crisis, then you can go ahead and try to take down the particular supervillain. So it takes a little more time to get through there, but again, you don't have as many supervillains because you've got all those crises. Now that is basically how the Crisis pack works, the Crisis edition works. You'll notice, too, that a lot of the heroes, specifically here the Suicide Squad, their oversized hero cards, they kind of work together. You get victory point tokens in this game that you saw in the Forever Evil edition of DC Comics deck building game. And these victory points aren't really victory points because they don't really give you points to win individually. Rather, they're almost a currency that you can spend to help yourself and other players throughout the game. Some of the cards, like Deathstroke lets you pay so many victory point tokens to eliminate some cards in other people's discard piles. Those sorts of things. You can help other people out in those ways. Now, that is just the Crisis mode. But This particular Crisis pack also comes with kind of a secret agenda, hidden agenda variant to it. Now, in this particular mode, as you are playing, each player, in addition to all the other cards they get, also get a hidden objective card. You take a look at this, you slide it under your oversized hero card, or villain card, as it were. As you're playing the game, you're trying to win that collective victory, but you also have to meet the specific requirements of your card in order to win. So it's cooperative to a point. And some people, you can defeat all the super villains, but maybe one hero, or one player, or two players will win, but maybe not all the players will win if they hadn't completed their hidden objective card. Some of the hidden objective cards are nasty. There's even a hidden traitor here that actually wins the game if the others lose. So there's a different little kind of spin on the traditional Crisis expansion for the DC Comics deck building game. So that, in a nutshell, is how this new Crisis deck works. Now, I'll tell you right now, I don't want to get too much into looking at the individual cards. I think that's out there on the internet right now. You can see that stuff. But I'm just kind of more interested in these mechanics because they're very, very interesting. And I have to tell you, last Christmas, Zach Zembrunnen actually bought me the first two Crises packs because I didn't have them. And I hadn't yet played them. And to be honest, I was a little hesitant. Now, I heard there's a lot of good cards in there, but I also heard that the particular Crisis variant didn't work, that it felt kind of like it was pasted on, that it just wasn't a very good game. I heard that it was really, really long. So I was kind of a little apprehensive about playing with a Crisis deck. Then the good people of Cryptozoic asked me if I'd like to review this Crisis Expansion Pack 3. I said, yeah, sure, I'll take a look at it. So I went ahead with my friends, and I played a couple of games with this deck now. And I'll tell you right now, it can be long. It's going to be longer than your average game of DC Comics deck building game. Factor about maybe at least, whatever time you're putting into the DC Comics deck building game, at least a half that again. I think that's fair to say. And I got to tell you, I liked it. I was not expecting to. And maybe it was because I went in with low expectations that I actually walked away enjoying this cooperative mode. One of the things that my friends and I said we really liked is how the various Crisis cards really can alter the game and change the game up in fun and interesting ways. One of the cards we absolutely loved was the permanent Eclipse Crisis card, which means all the cards in the lineup get played face down, shuffled together face down, so you don't know what's what, and they come out face down, and they're all 5. They all cost 5. And then when you get it, you don't get to look at it. You put it at the bottom of your deck, so you don't know what card you're going to get until it comes up in your hand. And it was a really, really cool mechanic that we all really got a kick out of. Stuff like that's fun. It's another just fun and interesting variant on the DC Comics deck building game. Now again, the question is it better than just playing a regular game of the DC Comics deck building game? And I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because to me the great strength of the DC Comics deck building game comes from the fact that it is such an easy and quick and just slick, smooth system. You got to get over that thematic problem, but it's just a fun game, and it's a good, straightforward game. And with some of these variants and some of these crossover packs and expansion Crisis decks, it's a little more kind of wonky, a little more fiddly, not a lot more, but a little more. And it does add more time, and so I don't like it as much. But I'll tell you this, I will be playing with those other Crisis expansion packs, and maybe this one again. Well, no, maybe better. I will play with this one again. I liked it. I had a lot of fun with it. I think, for me, the thing I like about the DC Comics deck building game, too, is I can just... sometimes we take it to restaurants. We just play it in restaurants and stuff while we're waiting. I don't think I'd take the Crisis pack there. I think I'd do Crisis pack more of it's a game night event kind of a thing, and really get a kick out of it and really have fun with it. So I like this one. I think it's fun. I'm going to say if you like the DC Comics deck building game, you're going to want to buy the Crisis Expansion Pack 3. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. We are The Discriminating Gamer, and I've got to tell you, that dark side, they should call him Backside. Because he looks like a butt.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long
Hello and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer. Shoot, what was I gonna say?